We put leaves on the trees in the background just for that song.
You know, I didn't even notice the leaves on the trees. I was just focusing on you guys. And because it was warm recently, I thought that you had just recorded it. But thank you. It was a perfect song and it was wonderful. So good morning again, everyone, and welcome on the day before Valentine's Day. And believe it or not, we're into the fourth week of our Gift of Winter series. And today we're going to be embracing our shadow. We'll be looking at it and hopefully embrace all those parts of us. There is a handout available. It's in the most recent What's Up, and that handout supports today's talk. So feel free to download it if you haven't done so already. And if you're watching the live stream, feel free to message us on Facebook or to email us at unity@unityspiritualcenter.org, and I'll be happy to send you a copy of the handout. The winter season encourages us to go deep, to embrace and explore the darkness. Not only the darkness out in the world, the darkness within, our personal darkness, our shadow. Now, Carl Jung first gave us the term shadow to refer to those parts of our personality that have been rejected. His basic idea of the shadow was simple. The shadow is the person we would rather not be. According to Jung, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it gets. So if we ignore it, it just grows and gets deeper. At all counts, it forms an unconscious snag, thwarting our most well-meant intentions. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So in order to heal and move beyond those characteristics that we're not fond of, we have to bring it into our conscious mind. He says, instead of trying to suppress our shadows, we need to uncover, own, and embrace the very things we are most afraid of facing. The shadow holds the secret of change. They hold our most treasured gifts. Now, Jesus in A Course in Miracles refers to anyone who triggers negative emotions within us as our saviors. They're our saviors because they're giving us the opportunity to look at our shadow, our ego, to look at the things that we would ordinarily not want to look at, not want to own. And this gives us the opportunity for great growth and healing. In Debbie Ford's book, The Dark Light of the Light Chaser, she says, it is by embracing all of who you are that we earn the freedom to choose what we do in our world. Our shadow exists to teach us, guide us, and give us the blessing of our entire selves. Your life will be transformed when you make peace with your shadow. What you can't be with won't let you be. So if we don't embrace our shadow, we can't live an authentic life. The author Bill Plotkin wrote, the shadow is not what we know about ourselves, don't like, and keep hidden. Rather, the shadow is what is true about us that we don't know at all. And if accused of it, would adamantly and sincerely deny. And on that same note, Carl Jung wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Now that's also the victim stance. If we don't own it, we say, oh, I didn't do this. It's being done to me. So that's total denial of those aspects of ourselves. So today, this morning, we're going to look at the 4 aspects of the shadow. It's the individual shadow. So what's our personal shadow? The organizational shadow, and I'm going to use Unity as an example for that, for organizational, and this is Unity as a whole. Cultural, what's our country's shadow? And then collectively, What's the collective shadow? And so for individual shadow, Bill Plotkin made several observations in his book, Wild Mind. He says the purpose of the shadow is to keep us safe through repression of our characteristics and desires that are unacceptable or inconceivable to our ego. These characteristics may both be negative or positive, and they can be called sinister shadow or golden shadow. Our golden shadow shows up to us when we have intense admiration of others. The glowing qualities that we are drawn to in others represent the disowned aspects of our own unlimited creative potential. So, in other words, our greatness. How many times have we looked at someone who's doing wonderful things and think, oh, I could never do that? That's a denial of the gifts within us. And the ego, in its protection of us, has labeled the elements rejected as not me, bad, as a way to protect us. It's through doing the shadow work that we can reclaim the things that we have banished from our lives. So if we see someone being negative or doing something that we think is wrong, or we'll project all that darkness onto them. Oh, the world's in this state because of them. It's that political party or that political party or that active group. It's not about the stuff within us. We project it all onto them and make them bad. So how do we retrieve those items and take back our wholeness? We do it by descending into those dark places to retrieve those lost pieces of ourselves. Plotkin says that the initial goals of working with our sinister shadow is to uncover our unacknowledged negative traits, take responsibility for them, learn to soften or eliminate them, and cease to project them onto others. In this way, we're less likely to undermine our relationships and opportunities. What we don't like about ourselves, we project onto others. So it's not me that's making me miserable, it's them. And this again is the consummate victim stance. But by owning them, we bring them to the surface. We can look at them. We can be honest about them. And we can change. So now let's apply this wisdom to other parts of the shadow. And let's look at the organization. Now, even unity has an organizational shadow. This idea has been discussed in classes I've taken, in ministers' groups, and there's awareness within the unity movement to bring this shadow up, to address things that are uncomfortable. So what is it that the unity movement denies? Well, if we look at what we value, being positive, love and light, peace, wholeness, and what are we most uncomfortable with? Negativity, conflict, darkness, anger, hate, and fear. And what we don't accept, we project. So by not accepting, we are projecting those shadows onto others. And by not accepting and projecting those shadow aspects, we move into what we call spiritual bypassing. Now, social worker and yogi Melissa Noel Renzi describes spiritual bypassing as, she says, spiritual bypassing is a term that describes attempts to rise above and effectively deny unpleasant emotions, experiences, and realities in order to feel good and avoid discomfort and painful truths. We all have parts of ourselves we'd rather not look at. So we deny or push them aside. When we bury these aspects in the subconscious rather than resolve and integrate them, they often take on dysfunctional roles and behaviors that prevent healing and cause harm to ourselves and others. At a societal level, there are uncomfortable realities and injustices to acknowledge and address. When we avoid facing problematic issues in our outer systems, We invalidate the lived experiences of others while shirking our own accountability in creating healthier systems that support everyone. In both situations, offering up only positive thinking or love and light is an approach that evades the roots of the issues at hand and causes further harm. Now, there are many signs of spiritual bypassing. Not focusing on the here and now, living only in the spiritual realm most of the time, overemphasizing the positive, avoiding the negative, being self-righteous about the concept of enlightenment, being overly detached, being overly idealistic, pretending that everything is okay when it's not. They're all signs of spiritual bypassing. The key word here is denial. Yes, it would be lovely to live up here where it's light and love, but that's denying what's going on in the physical world. Now, Unity is addressing this as an organization, and it's up to the individual to address it also. That's why we're conscious of offering lessons about diversity, about offering talk series like I did last summer, See No Stranger, or whenever we offered that. We're making a conscious effort to look at what's going on, not deny it, so that we can look at our own shadow, uncover it, move through it, and offer more to the world from our true self. So let's move on to our cultural shadow. We only need to watch the news to see what it is. Prejudice in many forms, greed, unchecked capitalism, racism, misogyny, a celebration of ignorance, the demonization of poverty. And the thread running through it all is denial of it all. Now, again, Melissa Renzi identified 5 ways in which we spiritually bypass. And there is one that applies culturally. And this is, I don't see color, all lives matter, we're one human race. Now, in the absolute realm, oneness is true. And from a non-dualistic perspective, you can even add animals, plant life, all manifestation. Yes, we are absolutely one. We're not denying that. On the absolute realm, in truth, there is only one. But in the relative realm, this is a harmful dismissal of the very real world we live in, where we're not treated as one human race, nor do we have the same one access to safety, healthcare, housing, food, education, and other basic human needs. Denying color not only invalidates experiences and tells people you don't see them, but it also permits avoidance of responsibility of doing our part to create the conditions that are equal and beneficial for anyone. We can't change anything if we deny that it's happening. Now, Bill Plotkin in his book, Wild Mind, shares 3 core messages for cultural development. The first is, the key to healing and to growing whole is not suppressing systems, eliminating wounds, or eradicating some personalities, but rather cultivating our wholeness. The horizontal wholeness of the self, as well as the vertical wholeness afforded by our relationships with our souls and spirits. The second core message is, there is a vital and synergistic relationship between cultivating personal wholeness and building life-enhancing cultures. So cultivating human wholeness can never be a matter of tending solely or even primally to to the individual self, as if that self were isolated and somehow existing independently in the world that we're a part of. Ultimately, we cannot become fully human without healthy, mature cultures. And such cultures are not possible without healthy, mature humans and without a healthy earth community to be part of. Remember, it starts from within. When we heal, we contribute that to our culture, to our society. The third core message is there are 3 imperatives of any healthy, mature culture. First, to protect and nurture the vitality and diversity of its environment. Second, to provide adequate numbers of true adults and elders to nurture, educate, and initiate the next generations, and to create or revitalize cultural practices for the well-being and fulfillment of all people, economically, socially, aesthetically, and spiritually. And the third is to protect and foster the wholeness of the culture's individual members, which is to say, the self of each person and his or her relationships with soul and spirit. As with all things, it begins within each of us. It begins with the individual contributing to our culture. As I said in the beginning, with that graphic of the hearts, we are here not to hold each other down, but to help each other rise. Not only within our own groups, but within the wider circle of the world. So now let's move on to the collective shadow. According to author Althea Luna, she says the collective shadow is humanity's dark side. It is the sum total of past and present atrocities, cruelties, tragedies, and horrors perpetrated by humankind and stored at a deep, unconscious cellular level. This darkness is not always glaringly apparent, as it is ancient and ingrained into the fiber of our societies. Examples of the collective shadow include religious discrimination, racism, ageism, ableism, homophobia, and anything that others or condemns, rejects, or diminishes certain individuals or groups. So how can we tackle the collective shadow? First, we need to realize that whatever has been internalized inside of us is ancient. We are never going to fully undo or purge all of it. The collective shadow is literally the sum total of all the darkness, all the atrocities that have ever been experienced or committed by humanity. However, what we can do is to start this work and keep at it. Start this shadow work, undo it. The benefits are huge. It keeps us humble. It keeps us open. It keeps us willing to learn and grow. When we believe that we are somehow perfect or beyond this work, that's where the stagnancy and egotism sets in. That's where the darkness multiplies. Now, with that being said, there are 5 ways to begin incorporating this collective shadow work into our spiritual practice. And the first is to listen to those who lead different lives and have a different context from you. So listen to someone with opposing views. Listen to someone who has lived a different life, who has grown up differently, who doesn't have the same cultural background than you do. This helps us expand our bubble of awareness. The second is to observe your ingrained prejudice and negative conditioning. We all have them. We're just not aware of them. In what ways do we perpetuate old and unhealthy issues, ideas, or beliefs? I mean, they can be really simple. I mentioned this before, that there's implicit bias. You can go, Harvard has a website for implicit bias testing. You can go there and take these tests, and it helps uncover those things that we're not even aware that we have biases in. So ask yourself, am I perpetuating any old or unhealthy ideas and beliefs? And start there. Number 3 is to ask ourselves, in what way am I othering that person or group of people? Othering is a term used in sociology that means treating another person or group as essentially alien and reducing them to a socially inferior stance. Essentially, othering is about creating an in-group of which we're a part of and an out-group of which they are a part of. So it's contributing to duality in the worst possible way. Whenever we see there's an us or a them, we're perpetuating duality. The 4th is to take responsibility and practice humility. We're going to mess up. We're human. There's no way around that. Own it. Look at it. Bring it to the surface. And this will give us the ability to correct it, to change it, and to not go there again. And the 5th is connect with your heart and be proactive. So what are you called in your life to address? What cause or injustice calls you to serve? How can you make the world a better place? And it doesn't have to be this huge thing. It can be as simple as looking at someone who you would normally not want to look at, but to look at them and extend love, extend a helping hand, extend a simple smile. So how do we embrace our shadow? Embracing an aspect of ourself means loving it, allowing it to coexist with all our other aspects, not making it more or less than any part of ourselves. It's not enough to say, I know I'm controlling. We must see what controlling has to teach us, what gifts it brings us, and then we must be able to view it with awe and compassion. So look at what is there that's standing in your way. Don't push it away. Let it come up. Love it. Embrace it. To be divine is to be whole. And to be whole is to be everything, the positive and the negative, the good and the bad, the holy man, and I don't like this world, but the devil. The reason for doing shadow work is to become whole, to end our suffering, to stop hiding ourselves from ourselves. Once we do this, we can stop hiding from the rest of the world. Within ourselves, we possess every trait and its polar opposite, every human emotion and impulse. We have to uncover, own, and embrace all of who we are. The good, the bad, the dark, the light, the strong, the weak, the honest, and the dishonest. It's all part of us. And it's our birthright to be whole, to have it all. It only takes a shift in our perception and opening of our heart. When we can say, I am that to the deepest, darkest aspect of ourselves, then we can reach true enlightenment. It's not until we fully embrace the dark that we can embrace the light. So I invite you to utilize the gifts of winter, to utilize the darkness by embracing your own shadow so that you can bring it to the light. You can integrate it and then be whole. So I invite you now to get comfortable in your seats as we move into meditation. I invite you to gently close your eyes, to connect with your breath, connect with your body. Allow yourself, as your breath gently flows in and out, to notice what you feel in your body at this moment. Are there any points of tension or discomfort? Is your body speaking to you, inviting you to release what no longer serves? Any place that's creating a point of tension and unease within your body. And continue to breathe and notice the stillness between the inhale and the exhale. And allow yourself to follow your breath as you breathe at a comfortable pace for you. We acknowledge the presence. We acknowledge that this presence is our presence. And we affirm that this presence is our essence of love. And it is through and from this place of love that we accept ourselves, we forgive ourselves, and we love ourselves. I live in the stillness within me, and I know that I am love. I bring love to the world. I am peace. I bring peace to the world. Divine peace flows in my mind and heart. Every thought in my mind is informed by the unifying power of love. Every feeling in my heart is tempered by love. Therefore, I am peaceful. I am filled with divine peace as it flows in and through my mind and heart. And by the power of divine love, I am a peaceful and unifying presence. I am love. I am willing to be a blessing in this world. I am willing to look deep within the center of my being and draw out any ancient thoughts, ancient ideas that are negative, that cause me to be less than this expression of love in the world. God is courage, therefore I am courageous, and I allow myself to look at these aspects, to own them, so that I can change them. I am a positive influence in the world. I am awakened in love. I am spiritually strong. I am full of wisdom. And I consciously live today as love. And now I allow myself to go deeper and deeper into the silence. And I call on the Holy Spirit to help me look at my shadow aspects so that I can learn to love them, let them go, and change them. And now I bring to mind anyone who may be in need of prayer, including myself. And I affirm that there's a power and a presence within each of us that will see us through any difficulty that we are experiencing in the physical world. We know our wholeness is eternal. It is only in the world of form that we come up against temporary conditions. So we affirm the wholeness that we are, the truth of who we are. And we affirm this for ourselves, for others, for all those on our unity prayer list, on silent unity, and we extend this to the wider circle of the world. We are so blessed to have this awareness and so grateful of their presence within us. And when you're ready, you can bring your consciousness back into your body, back into the room where you are. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And welcome back. This is the time during our service where we have the opportunity to give. So I invite you to take your gifts and hold them in your hand and just allow yourself to feel that love that you are. Feel yourself infusing this love in these gifts, knowing that they expand. Just as we love, we expand. So we infuse these gifts with our love, with our good wishes, and we know that God is our source and God consciousness is our supply. And so I invite you to bless these gifts with me with your mics muted. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I am open to receive, and I am grateful. And for all of those who are watching the live stream, if you'd ever like to join us for the service, feel free to email unity@unityspiritualcenter.com. I'm sorry, unity@unityspiritualcenter.org, and we'd be happy to send you the Zoom link. And I believe Riley has posted the donation link if you care to extend a gift.